Gosh,
Yep.
and the relationship with fear, which I think is something that a lot of people are feeling, right? So how
Yeah.
do we move past that and find our identity? So great.
It
Take
was
it.
it was incredible. So let's get into our next amazing speaker. Very much a common thread here with all the ones that I am so honored to present. Brand identity, really tapping into your purpose, really believing that your message matters, really believing that there's a tribe out there that needs you. And Tiffany is going to be sharing brand your purpose, live your brand. Tiffany Hoeckelman is committed to helping entrepreneurs create an amazing business that impacts their world. Starting out in 2010 as a virtual assistant and freelance graphic designer, Tiffany witnessed businesses undermining their success with poor graphic design. Tiffany, of course, not everybody's an artist. It's so hard. She soon recognized that small business owners needed help delving deeper to discover their identity. And her secret love for systems. This is the magic that you have, Tiffany, because not only are you a creative girl, which girl after my own heart, but the fact that you love systems. Who are you? What are you made of? Because that's crazy and awesome all at the same time. So her secret for systems ensures her clients deliver on their brand promises. And this is absolutely true. Everyone needs systems. So driven by this mission, Tiffany built the virtual branding agency, Lone Orange, offering brand consulting and coaching. Tiffany, the stage is yours. I cannot wait to hear this.
Thank you so much, Giselle. It's always fun. I write that intro, but I send it and I don't hear it. So it's always fun to hear my own story back. So thank you very much. Thank you all for being here and for joining us today. What an amazing day so far, really. I mean, this has been amazing. So many nuggets that I've already taken away that are going to change my business and change my life. So hopefully I will drop some more nuggets of wisdom and gold into your life and business as well. So, well, congratulations, Tiffany. You have created yourself a job, not a business. That statement made me furious. I couldn't even believe I was hearing this. You see, I was about a year into my business. I just started my business and I was helping lots of clients. I was getting the work done. I was, just kind of doing my thing. I thought it was going really well until I calmed down a lot and realized that they were right, that I had been building myself something that wasn't scalable, but that was limited by my own abilities. I wasn't going to be able to help more people than I could help by myself. Now, here's the thing. When I started my business, I had had a bad experience with managing employees. So when I started my business, I didn't want to have anybody else in my business. I didn't want to have employees. I didn't want to have a team member because in my mind, all that meant was hassle, headache, frustration. So I didn't even want that when I started my business. But once I realized and calmed down that yes, I was going to have to start growing a team in order to build my business and grow my impact, I realized that I also didn't know how to grow a business. Like I knew how to do the work I was doing, but how do you grow a business? So I set out on this journey to figure out how to grow a business. I was determined to figure this out. And so I have worked with many brilliant coaches and mentors through the years. And in the last 10 years of having my business, I finally was able to grow a successful business, not just a job, with a team I loved. And simultaneously, I was helping my clients as a branding coach and as a graphic designer. I was helping them put pictures and the visual identity to their brand. So I was helping them kind of create that brand. But what I saw that they had a struggle with is that they didn't know how to breathe life into that brand. They didn't know how to take the pretty logo or the great website or the brochures and business cards that we created for them, and they didn't know how to breathe life into it, to live their brand. So when I looked back and saw what I had learned and what I was seeing my clients deal with, I recognized that there was some foundational things missing and some foundational things that were critical for any business to be able to scale. So I have taken those, I found 4 pillars that I found to be the most important. And so I took those 4 pillars and I've created what I call the scale your brand method. So I just want to take the next 8 minutes or so to take you through those steps, those pillars, so that you can see how scalable you are, how scalable your business is, or maybe where you need to kind of shore things up a little bit. So the first pillar is, and I'm going to write them here for the visual learners among us. The first pillar is essence. Essence is all about your identity. Essence is all about who you are as a business. Now, as a solopreneur right now, those are inextricably linked. Like, you are your business. So especially for solopreneurs, pulling that out and helping solopreneurs be able to figure out what that essence is crucial. Why is it important to even have this identity? Now, we've actually had several speakers talk about identity, talk about why, talk about story. Why? Because it's so important at the base of who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, if you can't explain who you are, how is anyone else going to? How is anyone else going to know that you can help them? How is anyone else going to be able to refer you if you can't even be able to explain who you are? So this essence is critical. Figuring out things like your why, the deep driver behind what you're doing. Figuring out things like your core values, your company personality. Figuring out who you help the most, who you can help the best, who that ideal client is. And I like to define ideal client as the people who you like to help, who you can help the most, and who are willing to pay you what you're worth. Not necessarily the clients who suck you dry of your time, energy, and money. We've all had them, but getting clear on this identity helps make sure that you're aligning both your clients, your clients and your team members to make sure that you're building a culture of your business that you have crafted and designed. So essence is the first pillar. So that's a big one. The second pillar is expression. So now that you have identified your essence, now it's how to communicate it, both visually. I'm a graphic designer, so visual communication is very important. So both visually and verbally. But how do you communicate this awesomeness? And where do you meet the people that you can best help from a strategic standpoint? The third pillar is experience. Now, this is about your client's experience. Here's the thing. As a solopreneur, I got into business to do what I did, and I did it really well. And I served my clients really well. But until I had the opportunity to think through the client journey that I wanted my clients to go on, my client experience was inconsistent, sometimes haphazard. When I got busy, I'd kind of let things fall through the cracks, right? Does that sound familiar at all? So the process of mapping out your client journey, thinking through every stage of what your client is going through when they're interacting with you, from the moment they hear about you all the way until you're done working with them and beyond, what do they need from you? How can you best serve them? How are you going to help them? And mapping that out so that it is consistent, clear, powerful. And then once you've got these 3 things, you are ready for the fourth pillar, which is expansion. Now, just like Giselle said, this is the secret sauce, because it's one thing to know who you are and be able to even express it well. And maybe even another thing to develop that client experience. But the expansion is the systems, because now you know what you want your clients to experience. But how are you going to do that consistently? How are you going to hire a team to do it consistently when you're not the one just doing it? It's possible. I promise you, it is possible. So expansion is all about developing systems. And yes, I geek out on systems as much as I geek out on design. And that makes me maybe a freak of nature even. I don't know. I have a very analytical artist brain. But I love getting deep and figuring out what are the things that you do and that you just do as you do that you can train somebody else on to do it your way, to do it your business's way, to reflect that culture. And all of this essence carries through everything. And this alignment with the essence carries through everything, carries through your clients, it carries through your team. Because here, once you have these 4 pillars in place, you're ready to build that team. You're ready to start bringing other people into your world so that you can start serving more. That is the most powerful thing behind this process. And I found it by a lot of hard work, by a lot of figuring it out for myself and talking to a lot of people and putting this together for myself. Now, I want to tell you about my friend Liz. She's a client that I took through this whole process. Now, she has actually had several businesses, but she was starting a new one and she wanted to kind of ramp up quickly. So she knew she needed this. She knew she needed it fast so she could get her business up and going. So we went through all of these steps and we got her systems dialed in. And we started with her sales process and her onboarding process, even before she opened her doors. But and her fulfillment process, what that allowed her to do is that when she was ready to open her doors and start marketing and bringing people through, she knew exactly what to do with them. She didn't have to stop and think. She didn't have to forget all the details of the things she thought she wanted to do. She had the process. She had the form. She had everything she needed so that she was able to bring people in quickly and easily, and they had a great experience to the point where within a few months, she was ready to start considering hiring, which was amazing that quickly for her. So that is the power of this process. That's the power of thinking through these 4 pillars for your business to be ready to scale. Now, if you are wondering if you have created yourself a job, or if you're not sure how to scale your brand, or is your brand even scalable? No matter if you've been in business for a long time and kind of need to kick it up a notch, or if you've kind of had some success but need to go to the next level, or even if you're just getting started, I would invite you to take the Scaling Success Inventory. Now, this is a free online assessment, less than 5 minutes, but it will give you some powerful information based on your business and where you're at with these 4 pillars, and where you need to start be able to scale your business. So it's going to tell you, do you need to start with expression? Do you need to start with experience? Do you need to start with essence? You will get a customized report that will tell you exactly what the next right thing is for you to do so that you're not scattered over all these things. Because you can imagine with my systems background, I'm very methodical and these things build on each other. So if you are wondering if you've built yourself a job or if you've built yourself a business, take the Scaling Success Inventory because it's time. It's time to live your brand. Giselle, back to you.
That was so awesome.
Thank you.
I love every single expert that has come on. There is a very common thread that we're all sharing. It's truly leaning towards really showing up and expressing who you are powerfully, and also trying to figure out who your message is for. Like, one thing is like, what you love to do, but the other thing is like trying to really figure out who the message is for so you can reach them, right, Tiffany?
Yeah.
What I want to ask you is about, they're going to go and click on that link that we're putting up in the chat already. They're going to go click on that link and take that assessment. I'm really curious about, so why would it maybe go into different aspects instead of essence? Like that would be the first place that you have to focus. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. So what I have found over the years is that many people will come to me and say, okay, Tiffany, I need you to make a logo. And I will talk, okay, so you kind of have an idea of who you are. Yeah, no problem. So I'll say, okay, so what do you want to communicate and who you're communicating to? And they'll be like, I don't know. So people come to me thinking they get it, thinking they know their essence because it's so internal. Of course They know it. They just can't express it. So yeah, I would say probably, if I had to guess, 80 to 90% of the people are going to start here because there could be some gaps that are missing. But there are the people who really do have a good handle on this. They've done some branding work, they've really dug in, and they really need to figure out how to express that, or the experience and then the systems is where it goes. So it's really the system is, or the assessment is really interesting because it will give you your score in each of these and then tell you, okay, based on your score, you need to start here, here, here.
That is extremely helpful because you made a really important part, like a point. There has been so many times people are like, or they're like, this is my logo, but why is that your logo? Like,
right.
You know,
right.
Do you know? And they're like, I don't know, because I like it. It's really cute.
Yeah. It's my favorite color. So therefore it's perfect, right?
Perfect. And they forgot to ask, well, is that going to reach your client? Is that their favorite color?
Expressing your awesomeness. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So why Lone Orange?
Oh, fun story. So I used to live in Florida, and I had an orange tree in my backyard that only ever produced one orange every year. Don't know why. I fertilized it, I watered it, whatever. It only ever produced one orange. So it became this running joke in my family that we were going to start this international conglomerate orange juice company, all based on this one orange. So kind of like, I like to say that it got my entrepreneurial juices flowing, but bum.
Love it. That is super cute.
So when I needed a creative name, I wanted to trademark it. I had a trademark issue with my previous name, so that's a whole nother story. But I needed to trademark it, and that's a hard process. So to come up with a truly unique name, it took actually 9 months for me to find the right name. But I love it because I don't know if you can see my logo, but Pete is my logo. That's Pete the Lone Orange. And so it's kind of a Lone Ranger, solopreneur kind of thing. So it's been such a fun brand to develop.
Tiffany, it is a fun brand. And you know what? Why it's awesome, as a brand, coach, I love it because it piques curiosity. And I always tell people, do things that pique curiosity, because then they lean into you and they want to know more about you. Like I do with you. I think you're fascinating. I love how your brain has both sides. Like you can do both, because that's rare. That is super rare. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. How can people reach out to you? Like, what's the best way to actually have, a conversation with you, communicate with you?
Sure. So if you go to that assessment, it's on my website, so you can actually click through and do the contact form. Let me go ahead and just pop. I'm also on Facebook, probably most often on Facebook. So I will pop that in the chat as well. So I'd love to have you join me over there. I go live every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Central. So you're welcome to join me there, and DM me on Facebook, and I'd love to set up a conversation.
So Tiffany, I have a really great question that came in. And I have to ask you, and I have 2 minutes, so I'm using it for you.
Okay, quick, let's go.
Let's do it. What is the difference, in your opinion, in your professional opinion, between marketing and branding?
So very quickly, branding is pre-marketing to me. It's what has to happen before you can even go market. I've talked to many marketers who are like, oh, I'm so glad you do this work because I hate doing this work, which is good because I don't like the marketing part. So it's the digging in, it's the identity. And then you go and do the marketing. Then you go figure out what channels and do all the statistics and all that kind of stuff that I don't want to get into. It's the pre-marketing that you have to have. You have to have it to do the marketing. If you go hire a marketing company, they will do the branding work with you before, but it is not going to be as deep, and it's not going to be as clear. And especially for solopreneurs, one of my superpower is pulling things out of people's brains and making them make sense, because there's so much going on in our brain to help pull that out and say, this is who I see you are and who you show up in the world as.
Tiffany, as a branding specialist, like you, like me, we understand that it's deeper than what's on the surface, right? Like it's so much deeper, and you absolutely have to know that so that you are successful when you go over to a marketing person or you start to market. That was so on point. I am obsessed with you. That was awesome. Thank you, Tiffany, so much for being with us. You are remarkable. And it's so needed. Like exactly what you do is just so important. And the person that's overlooked, not even overlooked, they think that they They think that they aren't big enough to have this type of attention is the small business owner. And the fact that that's who you love and are obsessed with is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I've tried to grow to the larger companies, and the solopreneurs where my heart is. I want to help us all scale. So that's where I'm going to live.
Tiffany, thank you. Thank you so much.
Honor. Thank you, everybody.